Hello everyone. um I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my channel. I know I've been fairly quiet, but it's been a lot going on in the past 5 days. I did give birth, and that's baby Elias Joshua, and he is now turning 5 days old today, and he's probably gonna start crying soon. I hope not, because I'm not expecting him to wake up until 11. But yes, he's just beautiful. He's perfect. Basically, I'll try to make things like quite short, just in a way, just to brief you up on how things went for us. uh Basically, my waters broke, as you know, and I did a video on that on that day, and then labor didn't start naturally, and I had to go to the hospital for induction on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and I went there because like contractions had started and stuff, but they were very mild, and it was like still early labor. And so I went to the hospital on Saturday morning. Anyway, the story is quite long, but I'm not gonna, it's been a very, very difficult one. So it's been probably the hardest thing, I would say. I wouldn't The hardest thing, because I felt so like helpless, like hopeless, like I couldn't, and out of control, like I couldn't control the situation. I was basically the birth ended up being completely what I did not expect and what I did not want to happen. But there was nothing I could do, and it's in those moments you just have to go with what's offered and what's the best for the baby and everything, because things were just not progressing. So basically, after I went on Saturday morning, I went to the induction, to the hospital. So they did some checks and stuff. I went all by myself because I didn't have, my friends dropped me off and stuff. But my friend who was meant to support me couldn't come until later, and I didn't need her anyway. So I went there. They did those checks and blah 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 stuff. She explained to me everything what's kind of gonna happen, and we were kind of arranging things as we were going in terms of the pain relief and stuff. I didn't really have any requirements in the beginning because I just thought, okay, let's just see how things go, and if I need pain relief, then I would ask for it. But that, anyway, so I got there. The midwife was really lovely, really friendly, and she was so like helpful and explaining to me everything, and she was really gentle and stuff. And I was asking a lot of questions to understand how that's gonna go, how long it's gonna go for, and blah blah, things like that. So she said to me that I'm gonna be put on epidural drip. But first they're going to put me basically on antibiotics, because my waters broke 56 hours before. And right, sorry guys, I had to interrupt the video a little bit because my mom just came in. And so basically what happened is that once I started asking questions to my midwife, what's going to happen, how's that going to be, what's the procedure. She says she's going to put me on antibiotics first because the waters broke 56 hours before, and and because of that, like, I'm at a risk of infection, also the baby. And so we'll start with antibiotics, and in the meantime she will do some like blood tests and stuff to see if I'm allergic to things, because there was a lot of paperwork before she would put me on the syntocin, the hormone drip. And then she would then let me know how that's gonna progress. So put me on antibiotics, then she took blood tests and urine tests and so on and so forth. Once I was hooked up to the drip, I couldn't really go to the toilet, so she had to bring me this little portal, I don't know, potty or something like that, I don't know, like a paper thingy toilet. And I had to pee in there in the room, which was so like gracious. But anyway, who cares in those moments. So I was on antibiotic. She says she's gonna put me on antibiotics every 4 hours. and then we started with Syntocin. So everything was fine. She put me on the Syntocin with a very low dosage of 1 milliliter, and then she increased it 1 milliliter, I think 1 milligram or something. I'm not entirely sure. Is it milliliter, milligram? One of these. She said milliliters, but anyways. So once she put me on that, she let me on it for like half an hour, I think, and then she increased it to 2, and then from every half an hour she would increase the dosage. So then she went to 2, and then she went to 4. She left me on 4 for a while. Contraction started. She wanted to see how things progress. And anyway, you know, we reached the most we reached was 8, and that was yeah, at 8 I was in active labor, so she never had to go any higher. But anyway, at 10 we started the Syntocin drip, and then at basically around 12, 11 or something, contractions started. They're fairly manageable, but then at around 12 they started becoming a lot more intense and like painful. I couldn't, like, I would breathe through them, but it was so painful. And then I requested at around 1 gas and air, because I just said, you know, I was waiting just as much as possible not to have anything and just to breathe through them, and you know, body to work on its own. But it became very challenging. So when I asked for gas and air, she gave me the gas and air, and I would breathe through it. It wasn't helping me, to be honest. I would just feel kind of like high at the end of the contraction, but during the contraction I could feel it. It was just something else to focus on. And then once I would the contraction would be gone and I would breathe normally, I was like, oh, I couldn't really, I was spaced out. Really, such a strange feeling. And then I went like this until 2 p.m. I think 2:30, when I just couldn't take the contractions, the pain anymore, and I just said, please, can I, you know, I'm really thinking to get an epidural, because earlier on when I was mentioning it, she said, maybe you want to wait a little longer, you know, because you normally get the epidural, everything slows down, and then baby will go in distress as the more he stays in the belly and stuff. So it made sense. It makes sense more now than it made then. And so I stayed like this without it for like until like 3 p.m. or so, 2:30, 3 p.m. And then at like about 2:45, I said I need an epidural. The doctor, you know, came, and he explained to me all the risks and everything involved. And I was in so pain and contraction and everything. And he just went on and on to explain the risk, but I already knew because I had read about it. And I was just like, man, get on with it, because I'm dying here. I need pain relief. I need it. And then it goes like, oh, I'll be back in 5 minutes. He came back in 15 while I was dying there, and I was having contractions, and I was trying to, you know, to have the gas and air, and he was telling me sit still. The midwives were lovely because I didn't have anything with me, and the midwife was just lovely holding my hand. Oh, my baby just did a poo. I could hear it. And yeah, so anyway, so contractions were so strong, and he would tell me, sit still, we need to find the right place, you know, it's really risky, I need to sit still. And I was just like, okay, just get on with it. It took like 15 minutes to actually find the place, and put that 20 minutes in total to put the actual epidural in, and then another 20 until it started working. So I was like in pure hell of pain, a pain that, you know, I don't know, it was just like every time the pain would happen, I would like basically be out of my body. I could not, like, it was just horrible. And then you know, once I got the epidural in, they also put a catheter because you can't use the toilet, which was great because, you know, well, I was like stuck in bed. It wasn't what I imagined. I wanted to be active, I wanted to be able to breathe through this and stuff, but you know, I'm quite thankful that the epidural worked and they did it. But then, you know, once the epidural started, things were fine. I didn't sleep because my friend came and she stayed with me, but then she left, and she was planning to come back, but then she got sick apparently, so nobody came back, and I was on my own, which was absolutely fine, honestly. Like, you know, I didn't really need any support apart from like chatting to somebody for a little while, because I was all by myself for like 5 hours, and I just thought it would be nice to actually chat with somebody. But yeah, no, I really didn't really need anyone specifically there. And then once the epidural kicked in, I was like, oh, that's good, it's fine. But I couldn't feel the contractions anymore, and I could feel some pressure for a while, and then it kind of gone. And but they never increased it more than 8, which was great, because they said that it can sometimes reach to 32 milligrams or that. And yeah, they didn't reach that far. Baby's heart rate was dropping at times, and so they were concerned. They didn't want to go too crazy because he was already in the womb for so long that you know, they didn't want to put it too high up. But they were so good at monitoring everything, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes. It was amazing. Like, honestly, they were on it all the time. And my heart rate, my blood temp, pressure, and everything. And after that, so once the epidural took place, around like from 10 a.m. when I was on the drip until 10 p.m. When she said, I think we're ready to push. So I had 2 assessments. They checked me at 4:30. I was 4 centimeters dilated, because when I got there I was still 1 centimeter. And then later at 4:30 I was 4 centimeters, and then at 9 I was fully dilated, they said. So they said, we're gonna wait 1 more hour for the baby to come down on his own, just to get in a better, like, he was in the right position, but he wasn't like completely stuck in the cervix, like down. We're gonna wait, and then, you know, but then the contractions started slowing down, and they were like not that regular and stuff. And they said at 10 we're gonna start pushing, and I started pushing. She said, we're gonna push for 1 hour, and then if baby doesn't come out in that hour, we will discuss with another fresh with pair of eyes, and then we will make a decision which way to go. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then what they did is like, so at 10 they prepared everything. At 10 started pushing. I started feeling the contractions, like pain through them and stuff, pressure, but more also pain. And the midwives were great, but like I could feel the contractions, but not at all times. And then we kind of tried to work together to see, is the contraction coming, I like this and that. And then so in the end, you know, I kept pushing and stuff. The baby would come, but then he would go back and so on, and not much happened really in that hour. And then a midwife came, so they consulted each other. And this lovely lady, she said to me, you've been doing great because you've waited so long without the epidural and stuff. So progress was made, but the baby is taking a while to come down, and we think that the best way to go right now is, because the baby's been there for a while, and you've been on epidural for a while now, and you know, still it's quite a lot of distress on the baby and heart rate and stuff. So we think that the best way to go is a forceps delivery. And I was just like, oh my god, this is nightmare. I'm like, okay, and what's gonna happen? Is it painful for him? Is it gonna hurt him? And she explained to me what's gonna happen and stuff. And that was just so, honestly, heartbreaking. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go for it, because you know, all I know is that I want my baby to be well and to be healthy and to come out okay. And so she said to me that there will be a forceps delivery, but she'll have to give me an episiotomy, so to avoid tearing more and stuff. But she will basically kind of numb me down there. And she said that, you know, the forceps like normally goes quick. With the forceps delivery, baby won't be hurt, but he'll have some bruising here and there. And then but hopefully we'll be getting him out in time, and he'll come out, you know, and I'll have to do pushing through every contraction like I did while they pull him out. So I'm like, let's go for it. They brought all the tools. She numbed me. Well, it was already on epidural, so I couldn't really feel anything down there. So, you know, once it was all set up, she said, you know, let's start pushing. So I was pushing through the contractions, and they were pulling and pulling, and oh my god, it took about, I don't know, three, four, five pushes maybe, and then they managed to get the head out, and I could feel it when they pull the head out. It was just wow. I could feel like a big ball coming out of me. And then they go like, look, there's the head is out. And I touched the head, and I was just like, oh my god, this is, I'm like, that's it, I'm just gonna keep on pushing. Yeah, it's a little emotional for me, so if I start crying, I'm sorry, but I just kept thinking about him being pulled out with scissors and stuff, and it just break my heart. I was like, I hope they're not gonna rip his head off or something. And I was like, oh yeah, so it was really difficult. But then he came out anyway, so like they got the head out, and they're like, look, the head is out, we just need to do more push, a few more pushes, and we're gonna pull him out, like pull his shoulders and stuff. And so I kept pushing, and then he was out. Yeah. And you know, they're like, he's out now, look, the baby's out. And they put him on my chest, and he started crying, like making sound, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. Yeah, it was a very emotional moment for me, like one of those things that you will never forget, you know, because you're like so worried that he's not gonna make it. But yeah, you know, when he did come out, I was just like, all I needed was my baby. I didn't care if I was alone or anything, because I was, but I really didn't care about anything or anyone. I just wanted the baby to be out and to be safe and sound. And you know, having a forceps delivery wasn't about me, it was more about him. Like, I was concerned how that's gonna be and how it's not gonna make him feel. Sorry. But you know, when he was put on my chest and I saw him, like later on, they wiped him and stuff, and I saw the bruises, and he had a massive scratch, like a red kind of thing all around across the face like this, and then bruised his ears and his cheeks. He was like so bruised because people were so shocked that he was so bruised. Like, had a bruise here on the cheek and a big one here and maybe one here and stuff, but now he's definitely like recovering. So yeah, that was it, and he put him on my chest, and it was like the most beautiful moment. I tried to put him on my nip and stuff, but it wasn't really, I don't think it was working. I don't remember really, you know, but we spent time together on my chest, and it was just the most beautiful moment. And you know, I didn't care. I cared less about what's happening down there. They gave me an injection in the leg to get a placenta out, while I was just spending time with my baby. And then, you know, they stitched me. So one stitch for the tear, which was kind of like the, I don't know, perineal tear or something, that episiotomy. And then I had a mini tear on my labia, but it was just one stitch, they said, so it wasn't major. And yeah, so that was it. And then the baby, you know, it was really good. They took the baby to look at him, measure whatever they did. I'm not entirely sure. It was the baby, when he was born, he weighed 3 kilos 770, something like that. So I'm not entirely sure what's in pounds that, but yeah, he was quite a heavy baby. No wonder he didn't want to come out like on his own. And then after that, yeah, all the fun started, because the epidural started kind of wearing out, and I could feel I need to go to the toilet. I passed urine straight away, as uncomfortable as it was, but I was still kind of drugged up down there because she gave me a drug. Yeah, so it was all like really scary, honestly. And then the next set of challenges started, but I will do another video on that because my baby's probably gonna wake up anytime soon. So I'll do a video on the challenges that followed after that, because we did not come back home until Monday afternoon. late afternoon. So we've been in the hospital for 2 days, with a lot of monitoring. But I will just stop now. I just wanted to let you know that my baby's here, and I'm like the happiest person. As challenging as it's been for 3 days, 4 days, I was like in another world. And I'll have to do a specific video on that one, because it's been full of like other bits, you know, other struggles at the hospital and then at home. But nevertheless, I'm really grateful that God has brought my baby safe and sound, and he's completely healthy. He's been checked and everything, no jaundice so far and everything. So but I will update you in another video about what happened in the hospital, and since we've been at home. But for now, I'll leave it here. So I'm sorry for being so emotional, but you know, I can't believe he's out, he's here. Like, I thought this will never happen. Like, it was just a completely you know, my reality changed in an instant. And it just fills my heart with love. It's just perfect. Like, my life is complete, and I'm so happy. And the challenges that we go through and everything, like, it doesn't matter, as long as, you know, he's well, he's healthy. I don't care like what I face. We'll work through it. So I'll write to you guys soon. I didn't do a birth video because I was all by myself, and I did a video call with my sister, so she saw all the birth, or at least she saw my face through the birth. But I, you know, I cared less about doing a video at the time because I was going through so much. So yeah, we will speak soon. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. One day